This episode is sponsored by NerdKeys. Support our show using code GamingSanity for a 10% discount.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Gaming Sanity Destiny review / commentary. I'm your host, Mr. Black, alongside Asian Jesus, as always. So Matthew, Destiny is upon us. It is here. We have given it some extensive play over the past week and a bit in order to give you our proper thoughts. There's no point in jumping to conclusions straight away, especially with a game of this magnitude and potential importance with in the future going forward in terms of persistent online games and so forth. So I think that we should begin, Matthew, with what a smooth launch it has been for a purely online game. Surprising.
Yeah, no, I kind of predicted that they would be alright getting off from the start, since they can test the limitations with the beta tests, and I mean they managed to get pretty much majority of people back on the beta when they just said anybody can join, go ahead. And that's one of the smartest things they can do. I mean Activision has had problems in the past, but at the same time, I mean EA doesn't bother doing these things, and we always see what happens there.
Yeah, look at the same Battlefield 4 still.
Yeah, so they got like a good testing ground right there and then back in the beta, so they were ready for it. And I mean, you probably had more people go on during the beta than the actual initial launch. I don't know, I haven't actually read the stats or anything for it, but I mean, some people who played it, didn't want to play it, so they didn't get the game in the end, or
some interesting stats versa. Actually. $500 million worth of games shipped to stores, and they've currently sold it 390 or 360 million dollars worth of content in a week. So that's not bad going at all. So there was one thing I want to address as well. There's this big number banding around at the moment of $500 million that the game cost to make. It didn't at all. It's not cost anywhere near that yet. That particular number has come from an interview with Bobby Kotick, one of the big wigs over at Activision, and he would sort of off the cuff said, it's going to be a 10-year game and it's probably going to cost around $500 million. That is $500 million over the 10 years, which includes marketing, potential sequels, the infrastructure to actually run the game. So all you people out there who are saying, oh yes, it cost $500 million and it's rubbish, it didn't cost $500 million, I would anticipate probably it cost about $100 million, maybe $150 of that. I mean, GTA 5 cost $250 million, and look at that. Look at the size of that game. Different, completely different. So, so let's begin now with the graphics of the game. I was very impressed. The lighting is fantastic. It kind of reminds me as well, does the actual art design of the game. I'm very impressed with the art design. It's very reminiscent of like late 70s, early 80s sci-fi cover art, isn't it, on books, sort of that airbrushed style almost. It is an exceptionally pretty game though. I mean, some of the lighting effects are mind-blowing.
I mean, I gotta say, I was actually surprised because I was, to be honest, looking at how some of the vehicles and some of the constructions in the actual tower that I could see on the beta tests, it's starting to give me an image that it might be a bit too much Halo in it. But no, I was actually greatly wronged on that one, where there's actually a lot more variety in the design. I mean, one example is a robotic army, the Vex, in there.
Yeah.
As soon as you hear robots, you're expecting to see something almost Forerunner kind of thing from Bungie at this point. And I was greatly surprised because they have their own style to it, which is, again, back to like 70s sci-fi.
Yeah.
Which I really enjoyed. I was bloody glad to see that they didn't go, well, we've done this in the past very easily, so let's just shovel that in.
Yeah.
I was very surprised.
Comments though, where they've said, where people have been saying, it doesn't particularly have a style of its own. Well, incorrect. You know it's Destiny when you see it. It does have a very distinct art style. It's not too hyper realistic.
No,
and then again, it's not over, too sci-fi, if you know what I mean. It's got a very nice look to it, I think.
Its art styles very easily. Although there are similarities to different things, at the same time you can sit there and pin it all together and go, yeah, that's Destiny.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was greatly surprised by that. I mean, this army even has their own. Pretty much the area they've taken over is like all our ancient rocks and that. Like ancient structures. Again, you'd think Forerunner.
Yeah.
The only thing close to being Forerunner about it is it's shiny rock.
Yeah.
But the actual architecture in that is just so much different. Yeah, so.
Well, let's talk about some of the planets
I was greatly
as well.
surprised.
I mean, you're talking about Venus there. It's a very beautiful place to go, isn't it? With the nice lush forests, some very nice sunsets and things going on there. Some excellent lighting. I think I really enjoyed Venus actually as a planet to go around and explore. And Mars is pretty cool as well. Obviously, you've not been there yet. But,
Venus was really good because it's just like a broken down. Pretty much, you're in a broken down city, completely. Ruined and overgrown again, and it was such a nice area. It was like it really did actually stand out in uniqueness. You kind of think about it and go, yeah, that's very generic. At the same time, the way they did it was actually fairly unique to its area.
Yeah.
So I mean, old Russia, I still absolutely love.
Yeah.
That was a great bit of fun down there.
Very much reminds me of the old Stalker games, doesn't it? Fantastic.
And yeah, no, that really does set a nice image. But I mean, I looked at thinking Stalker as well. But I mean, going down there as a huntsman, so you got your knives and all that. That just fits the element perfectly.
Yes, the hunter class. We are both hunters. Fantastic. Good fun. Blade Dancer subclass for the win. Absolutely. Now, let's move on to the audio design. As you will no doubt know, Marty O'Donnell has done the sound design. There's been a bit of an acrimonious split between Bungie and him. They've had to pay him some royalties. I think it was like $192,000. Bit of a shame, but it's the familiar, awesome soundtrack that Marty O'Donnell always does. And that main Destiny theme, when the title screen comes on, you almost get chills down your spine, don't you? You know you're in for something possibly magnificent when you hear that music. And especially, how good is the music as well in, for instance, the Devil's Lair Strike, when you're fighting those 3 waves of enemies and the music's slowly building up more and more as the pressures come in, and there's more and more of them coming, and it swells into a big crescendo as you're kicking ass at the end. It's fantastic. Excellent soundtrack. But that's what we expected, wasn't it?
Oh, yes. Again, he actually made it very different to past work as well.
Yeah.
It just works so well. It just echoes into the game, and like you kind of think that you aren't listening to it at the same time. You realise, that's actually very nice, because in the mix of killing everything that you see as you do, you kind of forget about it, but at the same time it's still going in the back of your head.
It's quite subtle. It's quite
forward.
subtle, isn't it? It's not too bombastic all the time. It's quite subtle how it sort of swells in and out depending on events that are happening.
And what's actually happened with him is a complete shame.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it? Holiday pay was the initial argument, or sick pay, or
it was some royalties and stuff like that. It was royalties.
And I mean,
they should go grovelling back. To Marty O'Donnell, because really as people who listen to this show will know, right? We are the Marty O'Donnell fan club. Absolutely. I don't even think he's done a bad soundtrack, as far as I can remember.
He's done good enough a soundtrack that in ODST they've got a little Easter egg of him. If you haven't ever seen it,
no, I haven't seen that.
Pretty much, it's Martin O'Donnell. Dancing, I think, with Love Hearts. I'm pretty sure it's Martin O'Donnell, but yeah, you just stumble across it. So very rare. hard find, but yeah.
Now, also, the audio with the guns is pretty good as well. I especially love the hand cannon that sounds like the Dirty Harry gun from hell as you're going around dishing out serious mayhem, massive headshots. Fantastic audio there. So they did some good work with the guns as well. It wasn't just amazing music.
Yeah, they got a really good feel with the weapons. Like the controls, as you'd expect, they actually nailed down perfectly.
Yeah. The controls are unbelievable. They're some of the best, most responsive controls I've ever used, and it's all very intuitive. Where the buttons are placed for melee and and grenade. It's
and like the
so
heavy machine gun sprays are reasonable kind of thing. You can sit there and go, okay, this is going to go up in this direction or out that way.
Well, obviously, as you get better weapons later on, you can actually reduce the recoil and stuff. They have bigger leveling trees to some of the weapons. Yeah. I've just got a exotic machine gun from a exotic bounty quest. I've not used one before, and the rumble on the PS4 pad as you're actually shooting, it does actually feel like you're shooting a machine gun. I don't know how they've done it, but it was fantastic. Blew my mind. The controls, I mean, the second-to-second, minute-to-minute combat in that game is pretty much up there. I would probably say it's one of the best combat games I've played in first person for a very long time. A very long time. For instance, like when you're jumping in mid-air and you can come down and knife somebody in the head and then turn around and blow somebody else in the face with a shotgun, slide off along the floor and shoot somebody else. Everything just feels really cool to do, doesn't it? We've nailed it with that.
It's gotten, like, it can get so fluid in there. Like, the combat just works so well. I mean, one of my tactics as well while playing is if I need to reload and I'm in a bit of a slog kind of thing, or if I'm pinned down, then I'll just lob one of the knives at the main enemy that's shooting at me, quickly reload because they're stunned, and then get straight back to it.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, the throwing knife that you can get on it just helps out so much. I mean, I tend to jump, throw one down at one enemy, quickly land, turn around, shoot another, and then turn back again. And like, you can pull off some very, very
you can imbue that
ballsy
knife with
stunts.
Fire as well a bit later on, so you can set them on fire with knife.
They really did set a good standard for combat in that.
Oh, it's amazing!
Very, very much
it's better than Halo to play as a game. To actually play, it's better than Halo. It's like a cross in it between Halo and Call of Duty. It's got that fast responsiveness of Call of Duty, but it's also got that sort of jumping around, free-form, flowing combat that Halo has, and is so well known.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that they kept in is pretty much, you look back at Halo. Halo never had what you'd call a hit screen. Hit screen effectively is where pretty much the AI just has to look at where your character is, and you're in the hit screen. So wherever they shoot, they're going to hit you straight away.
Yeah.
Bungie kept with the traditional way which they did with Halo, because I mean, Halo became a sort of a dance when you went into battle zones, and that you'd see plasma coming out from one way, so you'd quickly knock off to the side, and as you progress forward towards whichever enemy is where, and then you form your attack, it very much became a dance within itself. Like when you first the hunters, where you got so used to how you're doing things and how you move, they kept that very much so in Destiny, which I was very, very happy about, because I mean, they could have done the easy thing and did a hit screen, but they chose not to. And I mean, the Fallen, they have a lot of energy weapons. They have one of the main ones they have is the one that shoots like plasma burst. But it actually tracks you, kind of thing. And again, you can just go, okay, let's quickly go, and I'll hide behind this nook, but I'll get far enough so I don't clip my shoulder in or anything, and then you back out or you jump over the wall.
Yeah, you can weave a bit as well if you're charging them. Yeah, you can sort of weave in and out of the shots.
Helped you out doing that. So, and I guess that's the benefit of sci-fi, where you can have slow moving weapons with large amount of power in them. So but it was very, very good to play combat wise. So
yeah, the second minute-to-minute fighting is fantastic, especially when you're teaming up as well in some of the strikes with people, and It's amazing. Some of the hilarity I've had on that game has just been insane. There was one bit we were in the Moonstrike fighting Fogoth the Untamed, this big massive monster. Don't know whether you've been there yet, but it's quite a tough. No. It's a tough strike to do because he just takes a crap ton of damage and he's got spawning loads of wizards and knights and everything. It does get a bit full on. It's quite hard actually. I mean, it's even quite hard at level 15, let alone doing it at level 12 when you can first go there. And we were in there fighting hordes of monsters. I managed to jump down on the top of a couple of these wizards in my Blade Dancer form, just hacking away at their heads. It just looked epic. I'm sure from everybody else's screen it just looked unbelievable. I was just literally on the top of the wizard, just smashing it in the head with the knives. It's just completely insane. With it cackling wildly over the microphone, firing wildly at other stuff. He was also doing some suicide runs as well on one of the Mars strikes in his tank. He was driving into these big guys with shields and just blowing up his tank and killing all of them. It was well funny. Oh, it's brilliant as a game to play with friends. Now, it's not all sunshine and roses, though, is it? Unfortunately, in Destiny.
No.
There's a lot of half-baked ideas. There's things that need work, which we will address now. So I think the main place to start is really the story, which, quite frankly, doesn't make any sense. Really, it needs a lot more detail. I mean, I don't know why the Traveller's on Earth. I don't really know what the Traveller is. I don't know why all these aliens are attacking us. I don't particularly understand what the raison d'etre of what we're doing is. I think things need a lot more fleshing out. Now, I know that you can unlock the Grimoire cards for doing things, and apparently those cards have a lot more backstory and lore to read. But I can't understand why I have to log on to the Bungie website to read them. Why are they not in the game?
I don't know why we really want to go read all these cards, since everything you fucking do has a card to it. I don't know if
exactly.
I can actually get through all that reading. That's a novel and a half there. Surely they could have had some little
cutscenes, couldn't they? Like, you know, you've got this Grimoire card, here's a little cutscene. Even I think, right, instead of having Grimoire cards, whatever that story, piece they want to tell that's on the card, why don't they just do it like an audio log or something? You know, like in BioShock or whatever, you know, you get an audio log and it talks about what's been happening or, you know, whatever.
I mean, your Ghost as well seems very handy at pulling plot-related content out. To be honest, you know, they should have just given Peter Dinklage a bit more lines and just go, oh, you know, bring out some more facts about it, because it really does get...
The script is abysmal.
Yeah, but it drives me up the wall. It's like, not only do I get an achievement come up, I've done something, it's you've unlocked another Grimoire card. I was like...
Yeah. You've unlocked another Grimoire card, but you actually can't read it in the game. You've got to stop playing and go look at it.
Bungie.com.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go use the internet browser on the Xbox and go have a look about it. You know, it's all wonderful. I can sit there and use the laptop at the TV, but at the same time is you can't pause this game.
No.
This game does not have a pause moment kind of thing.
No, exactly.
Yeah, and you see these things come up, and it's like, I really wouldn't mind having a look at that, but at the same time it's like, oh yeah, I'm stuck in a war zone at the moment.
Yeah.
And then you end up with the Crucible. Well, you end up at the tower, and you're like, okay, what am I going to do now? Like, I just can't get around to going, I'm just going to log into Bungie from the laptop and just go here.
Yeah.
It needs to be direct.
Yes.
You know, I guess it's that, as everybody tries to do the smart glass thing by adding content to the tablet, it's like, when I actually have that, well, when I have the tablet out, I have the iPad mini, the only time I've ever really used it is for games. I'll have an in-game map that will give me a higher radius for like enemies coming in and all that.
That's another thing. Why isn't there an in-game map?
It drives your battery down
as well. When you're wandering around, I mean, I know it's not the biggest game, but there's been a couple of times where I've kind of got a bit confused as to where I'm supposed to be going, and there's no in-game map. Just bizarre. And why can't I change? You know, like you can get a series of weapons, for instance. Like I use a hand cannon, sniper rifle, machine gun. But I've also got, like, for instance, a pulse rifle and, a shotgun and a rocket launcher. Now, I've got to go into the menu by pressing the options button on the PS4 to actually swap around my loadout. Why can't I just use that on the pad? Instead of having all these, or even integrate into the touchpad on the PS4, because it works really well on, for instance, Killzone Shadowfall, where you can just slash, your finger one way or the other, and it'll bring up various other things. And also, the touchpad, you can actually press it down in different directions. So technically, you could have about 8 buttons just on the touchpad. Be it whether you swipe it or whether you press it down in a direction. So instead of having all these crazy emotes on the D-pad, just maybe move on to the touchpad or get rid of them and just let everybody talk to each other. Because you can only talk to people when they're in your fire team. You can't actually just talk to everybody. I mean, now I know that'd be a bit ridiculous if you had just everybody screaming all at once in the tower, but you should at least be able to just communicate.
I think that should have been an option.
Yeah.
In the actual settings to go social on, social off. Because it does kind of just drive you up the wall. You can't talk to people on the spot kind of thing, and it's like areas like that kind of need that ability.
Well, it defeats the object of having this big social online game.
Yeah.
If I can't talk to everybody at once, why am I online all the time? Do you know what I mean?
Why are we in this zone? And to be honest, like when you are in places like Old Russia, and I love that area, you stumble across low-level players kind of thing that might be having a hard time, and you kind of just pop in, take a few shots down for them. They'll wave to say thank you, but you can't talk to them.
No.
And it would be nice if, you could hear some people utter absolute bullshit going, I'm getting fucking stuck here, so somebody comes along and helps them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it builds more a sense of a community then, wouldn't it, if you're going around helping people, and, because sometimes, right, for instance, I'm quite high level now. For the interest of disclosure, I've put about 60 hours into the game, played a lot of the PvP, and done the story and the whole strikes and the whole shebang, so that we can give you sort of a more balanced opinion, really. And late on in an evening, when I've done all my bounties and everything else, and I've particularly got nothing to do, I go for a pootle round, in some of the lower level areas, and just try and help people out. And it'd be much easier if I could just sort of get the microphone on and just say, "Is there anybody who needs any help?" You know what I mean? Or is there anybody who's running through a strike or whatever? I mean,
it's already starting to become a bit of a problem while playing online, where back when voice chat started coming on the Xbox and the PS3, because that's really where it took off majorly.
Yeah, and obviously on the PC with
the PC,
with
of course.
TeamSpeak and Ventrilo.
Yeah, it weren't for ages on the PC. I was still playing Halo 1 on the PC, where we're just using the keyboard and typing in messages.
Yeah.
I was happy with that. That was very nice and easy to quickly type in a message. You end up getting to a full chat line while playing a middle of a deathmatch kind of thing, and nobody cared. Everybody stopped fighting at that point. But the microphones really started taking off about a year into Xbox Live.
Yeah.
About a year into Xbox Live. Like the early days of the 360, it was still very quiet until you got into Halo, and then everybody discovered their microphone, or they hadn't, and it took another year before people discovered how to use a microphone properly. And for a good few years, you could stumble across some really good people to chat along with. Example is us anyway.
Yeah.
Because we teamed up on Grand Theft Auto back in the day.
Hilarious.
Nowadays, you don't really get that. Like GTA 5, occasionally you'll get into a server where there's a few people talking.
I think the problem is
most
now
of the time
it's kind of gone full circle. Where, to begin with, in the Xbox especially, there was a good community of people.
Yeah.
But then, we sound like the Call of Duty haters on this channel, which we slightly are, but I've got to give them kudos for producing a extremely well polished top level game year on year. Once Call of Duty came out and became popular, then you started getting all the little 12-year-olds and everything online, and all the idiots, and things went downhill then. and now people tend to have the microphone off, don't they? So they don't have to listen to all these idiots and everything. So it's kind of gone full circle. It's gone from, at the beginning, people not really knowing the microphones or not using them too much, to everybody using it and then becoming discouraged by the morons online, and then now choosing to actually have the microphones off. It's very rare, actually, to get that, everybody talking.
I mean, that was the thing about, like, you go back to GTA and you go back to Red Dead Redemption. Rockstar, the environment works well, kind of thing. Unfortunately with GTA 5, because it's too big to not be ignored.
I mean, the thing, like on Red Dead, right, you could hold a message, the button down, couldn't you, to broadcast a message to everybody who was on the server at the time, couldn't you?
Yeah.
So,
but then you had local.
Yeah, exactly. So
local
I don't understand. Yeah, exactly. I don't understand why they haven't implemented that in Destiny. I just don't understand why they haven't done it.
Yeah, and like, it's just gone downhill because of all the shit that's happened with all the kids that are going on there screaming and that. Now it's very arrogant US teenagers that are
that are going to die alone.
Well, no, these are the ones. Usually, if you go on GTA 5, they're of a certain group and they've got the rap music very high and they're absolutely baked out of their heads.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I'm kind of generalising there, but that's the population you see on Grand Theft Auto 5.
Well, there's always somebody called, I was on
thing.
Destiny the other night, there's somebody called Ganja, and there was somebody called Supreme Kush, which is obviously a type of weed. And obviously you get your token bong hero, don't you, who's just having his bong down the microphone. Now, don't get me wrong, I've got nothing against having a smoke.
Yeah.
If you want to have a smoke, fine. That's fine by me. More power to you. We've all had a bit of a dabble of some of that good work. But you don't need to be sat there with your microphone on, having a bong down the microphone. If you want to have a bong, go have one.
It's starting to sound cool, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not a status symbol to be having a bong.
Yeah. Oh, it's seriously, it's getting out of hand in Australia now because of it. But it's just that the microphones are becoming used for your environment, not to actually talk. And then you got the straight out bloody supremacists going through there. GTA 5 is just absolutely horrible when you get some of these people on there, because they will specifically go after people's names, and they're very vocal about it, and they'll just try and make your life a bit hard. That's it, and then people are out crying about it and that. My gamer tag tends to get a bit tagged for quite a few reasons. Yeah, but at the same time, you're the one that said, "Yeah, you should put that up there. That should be your tag. Let's see how long it takes before it gets banned."
Oh, yeah, I'm surprised you've still got it, but there we are.
Oh, what got put up as a bad prank from a nickname I got from work. Unfortunately it's stuck. It's stuck so much it sticks on the back of my shirt now.
Yep, well, there's nothing wrong with that because it's an epic t-shirt.
I actually while I was on holiday, I actually did take one out to the mate that I was seeing over there, and he got one.
Good man.
And he looked a bit bemused when he looked at the back of the shirt. He's like, "That's your gamer tag." Like,
and it glows in the dark. Oh yes.
Yeah.
No expense.
Oh, he got the standard one. I
did
keep
it?
the glow in the dark one. Yeah. I looked at it. And I went, "Yeah, that is my gamer tag." And he's like, "You walk around in public with this on?" Sometimes.
Yeah.
You're fucking brave.
Gotta represent. Gotta throw it down. Now let's quickly move on.
Yep.
To the multiplayer now of Destiny. The thing with Destiny, it's a game for everybody. I think it's a game to all. Now, as you know, Matthew, I don't particularly get down with too much online multiplayer because I find it a bit boring now. I was very much heavily into my online multiplayer in the late 90s, early 2000s, especially with Unreal Tournament and various things on the PC. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've been involved in the Halo stuff, especially heavily involved in Red Dead Online because that was brilliant. But I have to say, I'm very impressed with the Crucible. The maps are exceptionally well designed. typical Bungie awesomeness, some nice choke points, some nice little options for hiding as well and ganking people out of nowhere. I think it's a fairly well-balanced game, actually, and I've had some great fun on it. And I'll give you an example of why it's a well-balanced game. I'm all-right at online games, but I've been finishing top of the scoreboard at certain points, and then others I've been finishing middle, and then others I've had a nightmare. But it's amazing to see that generally there's not just one person who's always top of the scoreboard.
No,
it's well balanced in the sense that there's not just a couple of people dominating round after round after round. I mean, I've seen a guy go from top of the leaderboard to bottom in the space of 2 matches. So I think they've managed to nail the balance. Now I've put some serious time into it just to give it a bit of a fair run, so I can talk about it properly. I've put a good couple of days into it, and I've had some great fun actually. I think the classes are fairly well balanced. The weapons are good. The damage modifiers that they implement, if you go in with high level gear like I've got, they sort of reduce everything down, so it's a fair shake of the stick for everybody. I mean, last night I was getting killed by a guy who's level 2. So they've definitely well balanced it out. What do you think? Have you had a dabble yet?
No, I haven't actually been able to get on just yet. I did try to have a look at it, but at the same time, after it was about a fair few minutes, I still only found 1 out of 12 players, so I'm like, you know what, I'm going to the main game. But yeah, mainly being a release week, it was a bit chugged up out here as well, so yeah. I mean, I log in during US times as well, so yeah, no, it's...
Well, definitely give it a chance. I mean, one thing I will say, though, it's a fairly steep learning curve to begin with. But once you get into the flow of the game, it takes maybe about 3 or 4 matches to get into the flow of the game. So you can do maybe 6 matches an hour. The game is already
a fairly steep learning curve. So
yeah, it's just getting into the rhythm and the flow of the game, really, because it's weird. It is a balance between Halo and Call of Duty. It's very hard to describe the feel of the game, but it's fast paced at some points and then slower like Halo is at certain points. It's kind of that middle ground between them both. But I have to say, I've had some good fun on it. Very, very impressed with it. Definitely going to be doing some more. Now, we'll get into our final sort of pieces now about this, where I think we need to talk about what they need to do to fix things. I've got a number of problems with some of the MMO elements, like we've been talking about in the chat. Some of the levelling on the classes. I mean, I think we need a bit more difference in the classes. Apart from super moves and a few powers here and there, there's not that much difference between every class.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed that completely. It just does not, like, you just see different melee types kind of thing, and not much else from it. And I was a bit surprised by that. I mean,
well, the thing is, if you're going to invest in these MMO type elements,
Titan at most,
right? If you're going to invest in these MMO type elements, then you need to do what MMOs do, where there are distinct differences between the classes. I mean, what I'd like to see in the future is maybe bring out a healer, a healing class that uses maybe some sort of magic powers or something, or whatever. Not necessarily using like guns. Maybe make the Titan more like a tank class as well, where it can take a lot of damage and bring enemies to him, so everybody else can just nuke them. I would also like to see more fleshing out of the levelling aspect, because one thing I will say is when you get to level 20, the game does a really good job of getting you into it and making it easy to play, but it does a really crap job of explaining what you have to do once you get to level 20. Once the story's over, there's still a massive amount of stuff to do. Be it doing patrol missions to get your rep up to get better gear, be it running strikes to get better gear, to do the end level content like the raids and such. But the game has a very bad way of explaining it all to you, and it's also really crap at explaining when you get to level 15 that you've got another subclass, but you actually have to level that class from 0 again. Pretty much you have to start leveling that up. I would like to see that if you wanted to if you wanted to test out the new subclass, you could transfer all the progress you've made with your current class over to that, so that instead of having to start from the beginning again and get your grenades back and your super and whatever, you could just take all the stat points over and see if you like that class, before you actually decide to roll with it or whatever. We need more story. absolutely need more story and further fleshing out of the world. And obviously this could all change with the expansions that are up and coming. I mean, notice it's not just called DLC, it's called a full expansion. There's going to be one in December called The Dark Below, and then there's going to be another one in the new year at some point. I mean, obviously they could turn the story on its head and make it absolutely unbelievable in one fell swoop in a one of the expansions. But I'm a bit concerned that because it's episodic based, that they've not put everything. I mean, I absolutely believe there's far more story there for us to get involved in, and there must be. But I'm not sure if this episodic content's going to come and bite me in the arse, because they do such a crap job of explaining sort of the end game loot runs and everything. And obviously, it depends whether you like playing games like that. It's, to me, for the average single player guy or whatever, once they've done the story, I'd probably be sat there going, "Oh, this is a load of rubbish," you know. But it's that minute to minute, second to second gameplay that keeps you in there, isn't it? And the quest for better loot and whatever.
I mean, the expansions at the moment, they're going to have to keep coming quickly. I mean, they can't rely on timed events to keep the audience in. They're going to keep on having to bring in something big quickly.
Yeah.
Because if not, they are going to burn themselves out within the next few weeks.
Well, we've got some massive releases coming, haven't we, over the next few months, which our next week, we are going to be discussing the up-and-coming stuff, because there's some huge games coming over the next few months that I personally can't wait for.
Oh, definitely.
And there's some of the biggest multiplayer... I mean, there is the biggest multiplayer shooter of the year coming, Call of Duty.
And, I mean, Activision might shoot themselves in the foot with that one, but at the same time, it's a biannual release for both companies in participation. And, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's money both sides. But, yeah, they're going to have to sit there and look at the success of one thing and maybe the downfall of another.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a big undertaking for the company, to be honest. So, yeah.
Yeah. It needs work. I mean, I will say this. I was going to give it a 7 out of 10, personally. When I first... After the first 4 days, I was very much on the 7 out of 10 area. But after playing it more, and this was without playing the Crucible, but then having done some of the higher level stuff, because I love playing games like Diablo and things like that. The best way I could describe this to somebody is forget about the story and just... I mean, Diablo 3 story is rubbish anyway. Think of it as a first-person space Diablo. If you like going for gear, and you like getting better stuff, and you like, you know, doing awesome missions with your friends, absolutely get this game. I think some of the critics have been slightly unfair on it as well, but also it's because they promised so much. This game is the base. This is the base for something potentially amazing. And don't forget, they can change the systems.
One of the reluctances I had for it.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason why I didn't pre-order it was because I was very reluctant, because they were promising so much, and I just couldn't see them doing it. And at the same time, it's like, it's either going to be really bad or it's going to be actually a lot better than we think. But at the same time, if I'm going to go in with the expectations they're going to give me, I wasn't going to enjoy it, so I picked it up very, very cheap.
Well, I was similar to you. I was a bit on the fence with it. I was looking forward to it, but it was the alpha and beta that sold me. Just playing it. If you play the alpha and beta, you know what you're getting. You know.
Yeah.
There's the basis. There's the starting point of a brilliant game here. I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong. I've swayed now, having played the PvP and the multiplayer, to an 8 out of 10. I think it's up there, and I think it deserves that. It's not, but the problem is, right, they've not really gone for it in terms of breaking the mould. They've played it quite safe with the game. Yeah. And I think now that they've made the money back nearly, well, they've probably easily made the money back, and they've probably made a bit of profit now, you know, selling $300 odd million worth of, you know, copies. They should now really, Activision should let them loose to get on with it and really push the envelope.
Yeah, I mean, the contract effectively was meant to be that Activision didn't have much to do with them. They just left them alone, kind of thing. at the same time, I do get that vibe that Activision had put their dick in it.
I do.
Kind of thing.
Yes. I think there's been some corporate meetings that have gone
really. It just felt like there was some porridge stirred, and I just thought, okay, because it's very much, to me, that game is Borderlands, Diablo, Mass Effect mixed in a fair bit. I mean, with the graphics of Rage. So, I mean, that was really the kind of vibe I got out of it. And I think that's really what Activision has sat down in the boardroom and went, look, we kind of want something a bit like this and a bit like this and a bit like this. What can you do? And,
I was interested to see actually as well in ODST. I didn't know about this. There's a poster that's about Destiny, and it has the Earth with the Traveller coming.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's how long they've had it in mind, And this validates our show that we did Overlook Games when we talked about Halo ODST was the forerunner to Destiny, and it is now. It's official, people. You can check that out. That is a real thing. Also, when you get to Mars, one of the strikes, there's a little building. If you look at it from a certain angle, it looks like the Master Chief's head. So we've got that in there as well.
Yeah, I heard that one.
Yeah. Oh, it does. So, it does. I can tell you right now. You have to go fight this guy who's in a massive land tank. But yeah, it definitely looks like it. But I think overall, I'm not too disappointed with it. No. I can understand why some people are, because it is not the single-player experience that was needed for some people. I mean, the story was an absolute debacle, and it needs some better writing. It needs a lot more fleshing out. Does that world, but. We've definitely got a good starting point, haven't we, for a game there? The foundation is there now to build on it, but they need to just take some more risks.
Oh, definitely. I mean, for me, the main thing that should not have been in there, straight from the get-go, is the speaker.
Yeah.
As soon as he rocked up, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, really, we have to go with this way? I know the style we're going for, but seriously, it's like. He did not have to be in there. He you could have done someone with a different voice, didn't have to hide their face, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been a completely worn down, battle-hardened person that could have done it. But again, that's another trope in storytelling as you get. But the speaker, you really did not want a person like that for that moment. And, it was just... There is a lot of casting points in there that really should have had an edit to it. I mean, one of my main things as well is the face editor to create the characters.
Yeah.
To be honest, the way I see it is an old 70s driving lesson thing, where the face that you go in with today will turn out quite different tomorrow. And it very much is like you sit there, you go for the character creation screen, and you go, oh yeah, this looks nice, I'll go with this. And as soon as you go in the game, it does not look like the face you picked. It really is.
I'll tell you another thing that annoyed me actually. You get these armour shaders that you can get. Why can't I just make the armour the colour I want it to be? I want it to be in black, with the awesome hood up and everything. But you get all these daft colours that they've invented. I mean, some of them you look like I had an orange, green, purple mess going on.
Why is there such high price to them?
Fashion travesty, right?
Why is there a high price to it?
Why can't I make my hunter look like I want him to? That's the whole point of these online games, isn't it? To be invested in your character. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So point Bungie, put in some armour shaders. Put in so I can make my own armour colour. That's what I want. I want to make it like a black and silver. I want to make him look like, the Nightshade armour from Skyrim. That's what I want to make him look like. That.
Oh, with customizing. Well, I think you're meant to be able to customize your ghosts.
Yeah, there's a few skins. I mean, I got a skin with it for getting the limited edition. But
where do I find those skins?
You go to the. There's a special vendor at the tower.
Okay, I've not found that vendor yet. Is it not the old lady?
It's literally on the left. As soon as you'd land, there's a woman in a little building just at left.
Yeah, from the speaker.
No, don't go where the
speaker
is. No, literally, as soon as you land, there's like a woman to the left in a little building. Next to the postmaster.
Special orders?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's where you get your deal.
Okay, so it's only DLC skins that really come through with that.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I just looked at it and went...
And also you can put there's a load of codes online as well that you can type in. There's a big list of codes, like 29.
Yeah.
You can put in. And you get like different skins in the game and different emblems and stuff like that.
Because I was just a bit confused. Like, hang on, there's some people here with custom skins.
Well, this is one of the other points I want to bring up as well. As we've said, the game's exceptionally good at getting you into it, but it doesn't explain some of the higher level stuff and how to
there's
go
some
beyond
of the stores in there that you won't ever find.
Yeah, how to go beyond level 20 and what the importance of having light on your armour is and so forth. They need to have a bit more exposition and let people understand the models. Because, for me, right, I've played a lot of MMO games, so it's, this is like MMO light, really.
Yeah.
And I understand the systems, but somebody who's never ever played anything like that will be wondering what's going on. Yeah.
I am just an absolute dunce when it comes to large MMOs. I'm just notorious for it.
The leveling system and everything, it's all textbook MMO stuff, like the patrol missions. Now, one thing I do like about the game as well is it caters to... For instance, obviously, I'm going back to university in a week, so I'm not going to have remotely anywhere near the time to do what I've been doing in my time off.
It caters for the 20-minute smash in and then out.
Yeah, well, that's it. You can go do some moon patrol missions or whatever and earn... You can do your daily quests to keep ticking over and keep progressing, you see. So you're never out of the loop. You can just keep there, and keep getting better stuff. Now, I know next week we're getting a new... we're getting some new story missions. The Queen... Have you seen the Queen yet? She's... She's giving out some missions that are going to get you some legendary items. So we're going to be able to do that. That's coming out next week. But really, what they need to be doing, we need weekly stuff. We need weekly stuff. We need more planets. I love the little speeder bikes, the Sparrow. Yeah. I love the noise they make. It sounds like something off Star Wars. I'd love to see races with them. How cool would that be? Having race courses.
Yeah, I actually I like the fact that you got emotes for them. I don't know if I'll ever use them, kind of thing. But the fact that you can point left, right, and stop and forward, it's a nice little thing on there. Unfortunately, the maps really aren't big enough for vehicle-wise, like travelling off huge amounts of distance where you're going to have to help direct other players left and right, kind of thing.
No.
But there is nice little details put into it. The way that you can actually, the way you turn the bike and how it handles and that, instead of just all being one kind of static thing with a flowing cape in the back, the legs, for example, it angles. So effectively, if you're turning right, as you would on a motorbike anyway, your right knee gets closer to the ground. The same thing with the Sparrows, where the actual holster for the legs will swing in out a bit towards the right, while the left side closes in a bit. And I'm one of those that really do like the finer details on things. So they've put a lot of effort in, absolutely, into the animations and everything. So we need Sparrow races. We need more planets. We need expansions on the planets as well, more areas. We need reduced loading times, if we can, because that gets a bit annoying. And I think then, a few more creative boss fights as well, instead of the usual bullet sponges we've had. They should take a note out of their own raid they've done, which has got some very interesting boss fights and interesting mechanics in there, and bring that into the game. And I think we'll be on for a winner. I think to be honest, what we should do, I think we should revisit this in about 6 months when everything's out and we can see, how the game's running. They definitely need to be bringing out weekly content. They've got to do it. Otherwise, I only went into the PvP because I was getting bored because I had nothing else to do. But I think that's what they want you to do, though, isn't it? They want you to sort of get a bit bored, and then you go, oh well, do you know what? I might as well do some PvP. Areas. Yeah. One of the things I wish that they actually start moving on from is...
we need spaceship battles, like in Reach. When you're flying between planets, that'd be amazing. How cool would that be?
Yeah, what's the point of picking different ships that you
want
if
you can't use them?
You're not going to do anything with it.
And get some Sparrows with guns on, so we can have races and shoot each other, a bit like Wipeout.
Or make the pikes purchasable.
Yeah.
But one of the things I'd like to see get done is a little bit less of pretty much how you get some areas with a series set of missions where you'll get a little bit in and you go, oh yeah, mission's done. The next one is, oh, we're going to go a little bit further. Oh yeah, excellent, that part's done. So now we've got to go even furthest part through the same area.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And it really is just like a lot of the map design sometimes with pretty much what you say, the dungeon areas, is one large long road and has different sections in that road.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is as well, the missions sort of play out similar to that. They go here,
yeah.
The ghost. I mean, we've got the worst ghost in the world as well because you can't even open doors. Oh, just hang on a minute. You've got to fight three waves of enemies while I open this door.
I can't hack. You know, for something that's meant to be able to go through a supercomputer very, very quickly. Yeah, you're gonna have to go through this entire wave kind of thing.
Yeah. They need to change up the mission design a bit. They need to get a bit more creative, don't they?
Oh, definitely. It gets very repetitive. I mean, the actual enemies themselves, I really like a bit more diversity in them because they effectively start becoming all of the same. The only thing that I've noticed different that I've come along is one of the Vex robots actually has a shield up in front of it.
Yeah. Oh no, you'll notice some difference as well when you get to Mars. They're a different ballgame.
Yeah, you get some very subtle ones at points. But I mean, between the Fallen and the what's the other one?
What, the Cabal? The Cabal are on Mars. You won't have seen them yet.
Yeah, no, the Fallen and the
well, there's the Vex, isn't there?
Yeah, but you got the necromorph thing.
Oh, you mean the sort of undead guys, the Hive?
Yeah, the Hive. Between the Fallen and the Hive, pretty much exactly the same enemy types. Like you've got the basic, the
the only difference is you get the wizards and the knights with the Hive. I'll tell you what's a good mission. How good's the Sword of Crota?
They just add an extra 2 on each faction. It's just like, okay.
There's another thing they need to do. Get melee weapons in. How good was that level when you had the sword? That was cool.
Oh, it was very fun. It would be nice if there was a bit more to it, kind of thing, combat-wise, because really all you could do with the sword that you're given is slash down.
What I'm saying is they could make a melee class.
Yeah.
Like a third-person behind view, where you're going around meleeing people. You could do that.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. I'd be happy to see that. That would be a very interesting thing to do. They need to do that, actually. Destiny, Bungie, listen to this podcast and learn. Listen to some of the ideas we've got. But definitely, they've proved it in Reach that they can do a great space mission, and I think we should have some of that. You know,
yeah, I mean,
fly to different planets, you know, and shoot stuff. It'd be ace.
Yeah, I mean, Reach did a fairly standard-based one for it, but it worked well. You know, like, you could just jump straight into it. You were happy with it.
Well, it's safe.
It's fine.
I mean, you could do it where you can either do the loading screen, or you can get in your ship and fly to the planet and fight stuff on the way. Because I could see, ultimately, the game, you know, ends up with, you know, the big invasion from the darkness, and there's stuff happening, you know, wars happening in space all over the place and whatever. I mean, we still don't know what the darkness is.
They could do an old Fallout trick.
Yeah.
If you look back at Fallout 1 and 2, when you were travelling, you had random instances that come along. Something happened, kind of thing. You could have the same while you're trying to warp. I mean, you're trying to get to another planet. In that mid-bit, have a caution sign come up. It could be optional where you go, do you want to do this, yes or no? You just select yes. And it would be in space fight, or you could be landing on an asteroid and doing a combat thing. Yeah. Something has come up and you've just stumbled across it. That was something that really could work for itself. So
yeah, there's a lot of potential there. As we've said, there is the base of the game is there now. Just build on it and make it awesome. Make it awesome, people. That's what we need. So, Gaming Sanity, we definitely recommend you buy it, don't we? Give it a chance. Especially if you like Diablo games and things like that. Absolutely get it. Now, next week, we will return, won't we? We'll return next week with our look to the